We have online here Irongo Houghton. He's Executive Director of Amnesty International Kenya. Good morning, Irongo.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you doing?
Good morning, Irongo.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Irongo.
So, Irongo, what happened on Friday? And we've seen that the Amnesty International Kenya has taken some action this week. Tell us exactly what you guys are doing.
So Amnesty was approached by a group of disc jockeys that were very concerned by what happened in the B Club, which of course has gone viral. And as we know, Babu Owino will be brought to court and possibly charged with attempted murder this morning by the Director of Criminal Investigations. Our concern is really that this is not an isolated case. Gun violence has been seen in many of our nightclubs and in our public entertainment spaces. As we know, it thrives on a disrespect for the right to life. It is an expression of lawlessness. But more important, I think, when you have powerful and privileged leaders involved, it is an expression of impunity. We know that the club was operating in defiance of a court order. The MP was clearly using illegal substances that were addictive while handling a licensed firearm. And he was in a club in which there has been a history of deaths, either through narcotic overdose or falling off a banister, or many injuries. So this is something that I think is not just an incident, but it's really a national trend that needs to be brought to an end. The DJs have begun to organize on this, and this is what I think has been really impressive. As an industry, something like 3,000 people have signed the change.org petition that was put up, I think, on Saturday night. And I think what they need to do as an industry now is to speak to the owners of the clubs, the PERAC Association, the National Gun Owners Association, so that there is a collaborative response to essentially keeping our clubs free, violence-free, and free of guns.
So the issue that you are pushing now is to ensure that we don't have guns in these public facilities.
So the demand by the disc jockeys essentially is that they should not be subjected to an environment in which guns can be pushed into their faces. And as we've heard from Felix Orinda's case, 2 bullets were discharged into his neck. So that, it's an extremely dangerous situation. But I think our position as Amnesty essentially is that we will support the DJs to demand that either they be, guns should be free of guns, the clubs should be free of guns, or secondly, that they should be safe, and declarations by club owners that, guns will not be, basically in people's hands as they're drinking alcohol and enjoying themselves.
There's also the issue that you mentioned earlier, the issue of impunity with our leaders, and which is what I'm raising this morning. It's not the first time that we see this kind of cases where leaders are accused of, being, so to speak, misbehaving in public, right? And what action is taken against them. What would you do as Amnesty International when you're helping the DJs in this particular case to also push that agenda?
So I think the first thing is to acknowledge that this is not just an issue for DJs. It's an issue for the workers of clubs. It's the issues for the club owners and the administrators. But it's also an issue for us as the public. When we go to clubs, we don't expect to be shot.
Right.
Places like the United States of America, where people discharge their weapons at very frivolous cases, or simply when an altercation happens, you can see the loss of life. And what we have to do in Kenya is make sure that this does not become a pattern. And who knows next what would be happening? Would we move from pistols to AK-47s to grenades? I mean, it could go to a point where actually it is not safe to go to a nightclub.
Finally, Irongo, in your own personal opinion, do you see that justice and accountability will be served in this particular case?
So I think Felix Orinda will make his own choices, and at the moment I assume that he is a state witness. It's a criminal case, so by law, it is not dependent on his willingness to proceed to press charges. The charges will be pressed by the government. He, in that case, in that context, is a state witness. I hope that he will stand his ground, and if he doesn't stand his ground for his own safety, that he stands his ground for all people who go into nightclubs, not just DJs, but even patrons. And essentially say that, until everybody is safe in nightclubs, nobody is safe. So that's the first, I think, thing. The second thing is really to look at actually how do you create an environment in which guns are unnecessary. They're not required in nightclubs. When we go to nightclubs, we go to enjoy ourselves, not to kill each other.
Indeed. So you're hosting a meeting this morning of DJs. What's that meeting about?
So a number of DJs have requested to meet this morning, and they're meeting at the YMCA, and it's just about to start, in fact, for the next hour or two, to essentially just think through how to develop a national, public, and collaborative approach that does not pit the Gun Owners Association against DJs, for example, but essentially allows for the Gun Owners Association, PERAC, the Association of Public Entertainment Spaces, to really work together to resolve this issue, so that we don't just respond to an incident in the case of Babu Owino, but we respond to a broader trend.
Thank you very much, Irunga, and we wish you all the best in that meeting.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.